Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on the 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, because as you can see right here, we are getting a bit of a warning signal in the short term here with this bearish divergence now confirming on the 4-hour time frame. And in the case that you are not familiar, a bearish divergence typically means that we are getting a break from all of this bullish price action. And the way this usually plays out is either with some choppy sideways price action or potentially even some bearish momentum in the short term, especially if we lose this short-term level of support here at 56.5K. Undercutting these lows on the 4-hour time frame, then it is important to pay attention for potentially much lower price action for Bitcoin. For example, all the way down to this 0.236 Fibonacci level sitting at 53.9K. But so long as we hold above this level of support, I would say so far so good, especially considering that on the 1-day time frame, we got this confirmed candle close above, then basically retested this 0.382 Fibonacci level sitting at 57K, and are now still holding above that level on the 1-day time frame. So I would say continue to keep an eye on the price action here, especially for this daily candle close in about 8 hours from now, because closing above this would be an interesting thing to see, especially considering that on the 1-day time frame, we still have this exaggerated bullish divergence playing out as expected, because as I said at the time when this actually confirmed, sometimes this acts as a reversal signal in the market. And right here, yeah, we basically got that reversal signal so far. We got a nice move back to the upside here. In terms of Fibonacci resistance to the upside, we have this 0.5 level sitting at 59.5K. In the case that we get back up to this level to around that 60K level, make sure to pay attention to the price action once again, because this is likely going to be an area of resistance for Bitcoin, not only because this is the 0.5 level, but we also saw a lot of choppy price action around this price level here. But in my opinion, the major level to actually break is this Fibonacci golden pocket sitting between 62K and 62.7K, because breaking this would indicate, for me personally, at least a major reversal signal here in the market, especially if we break above this, then flip it into a level of support and then bounce off of there, unlike what we saw right here where we went above and then failed the retest. Because as you may know, if you watched the video when this actually occurred, as soon as we broke this, the gig was up and we had to flip more bearish once again, because this is not a good signal if we break above and then fall back below again, right? So for now, it is a little bit early to start talking about this Fibonacci golden pocket once again, but I just thought I would mention it in this video here today. Either way, let's now move on to the bigger support and resistance levels for Bitcoin, because right now we're still trading inside that big level of resistance here from 56,000 all the way up to 58,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. And it looks like we are pretty close to actually breaking out to the upside here. And as I said, the next big level of resistance is from 59.5K, right below this level here, all the way up to 62.4K for the Bitcoin price. Again, if we confidently break above that 58K level and, for example, invalidate that bearish divergence that we got in the charts right now, then I think it is quite likely that we are heading up to this next level of resistance above that. Now taking a look at the 1-day MACD indicator for Bitcoin, and as you can see right here, we just flipped bullish once again after getting all of this bearish momentum here recently. So potentially this could be a very bullish signal here in the short term. However, I'm going to show you one more little warning signal that should be taken into consideration. And besides that, one other little side note here is that we do have about 8 hours left on this daily candle. So it is still possible that this candle here actually closes the day in red. So be careful with that. Now, if we actually take a look at the 1-week RSI momentum indicator for Bitcoin, right here you can see this descending trend line, basically this downtrend that the RSI momentum indicator has been in for Bitcoin. And we are now getting very close to retesting this trend line once again. And as I have been talking about quite a bit recently, if this actually breaks out to the upside, this could potentially be a reversal signal for Bitcoin, that we are going to get much more bullish momentum here shortly after. Although do keep in mind that we are talking about the 1-week time frame here, so this can actually take quite a bit of time to actually play out. On the flip side though, if we actually do not manage to break above this, but we just get another move down, this will be very bearish for Bitcoin, considering that another move down here would deviate quite far away from this neutral 50 level for the RSI. And the lower we go on the RSI, the more bearish the price action is going to become for Bitcoin. So for example, right here, we got to move up, and then this took like 5 weeks or so to actually play out. Just this little move to the downside here, right? So again, another move to the downside here would be quite bearish and could take quite a bit of time to actually play out. If I had to give you the ideal scenario, as far as I'm concerned, we would have one more move to the downside here to actually fill this CME gap. Otherwise, this is going to be a worry forever until it actually fills, because over 90% of CME gaps actually get filled. And of course, if this doesn't fill, then we will always have to worry about coming back down all the way to like 52K or something like that. So therefore, my ideal scenario would be another move down, either undercutting these lows here or just filling the CME gap in general and then blasting off from there. But of course, that is just me basically giving you the ideal scenario, and I do not control how the market actually plays out, unfortunately. But the base case remains the same. So long as we are trading inside this descending channel. We can go to the bottom of the range and we can go to the top of the range. So between 50K, roughly speaking, and 66K, roughly speaking. And I do think so long as we do not break below this level of support to the downside, that at some point Bitcoin is going to break out to grab all of this liquidity here, sitting at around $70,000 for the Bitcoin price. And likely, if we actually end up taking out this liquidity here, it wouldn't be shocking to see an all-time high or potentially even higher price action after that. Now moving on to the 1 week Bitcoin liquidation heat map. As you can see right here, we just took out quite a bit of liquidity to the upside, even though we did leave some liquidity to the upside here. But this is exactly what I was talking about in my recent videos. We had a bunch of liquidity to the upside here. And as I said at the time, it wouldn't be crazy to actually come grab this liquidity because it was already relatively close to the price right there. So now that we have taken out a lot of this liquidity and we have that bearish divergence in the immediate short term here, potentially we need to actually come back down to grab some liquidity to the downside, as we have kind of already started doing right here. There is still a little bit of liquidity left at about $57,000. There is even more liquidity to the downside, as low as about 53.5K, even $52,000. We have about $400 million worth of long positions that would get liquidated if the Bitcoin price reaches that level. And as I said, the CME gap is at about 53K, roughly speaking, which would be right here on the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. So in conclusion here for Bitcoin, to kind of clarify what I've been saying in this video, in the immediate short term, we have that bearish divergence that has been confirmed. So before we can see much more bullish price action, you need to see that invalidate. And until that invalidation happens, you have to assume that we are either going to get choppy sideways price action or some bearish momentum in the short term. On the 1 day time frame, we actually have a bit of a bullish outlook because we have that exaggerated bullish divergence that has been confirmed. And besides that, we have potentially the MACD indicator crossing into bullish territory once again. Although, as I said, we have quite a bit of time left on that MACD indicator today, about 8 hours. So make sure to watch for that confirmation that it isn't actually closing the day in red, because then that potential bullish signal would not be valid anymore, right? And on the 1 week time frame, technically we are still in a downtrend. Okay, so that is definitely something important to keep in mind. So long as we do not break the trend line, then I am assuming that we are going to continue to see either choppy sideways price action or even bearish momentum in the short term until we actually see a confirmed close above that 1 week RSI downtrend. Now, again, in the case that you are new to the channel here, I know I say this quite often at this point, but make sure to understand the difference between the different timeframes. Saying different things about different timeframes, even though it may seem like they contradict each other, they do not actually contradict each other. And if you are new to trading or something and you find this difficult to understand, then I actually have created a free trading course which you can find the link to in the video description. So go check that out if you want to learn more about technical analysis. And besides that, I also have a free trading community, which you can also find the link to in the video description. So definitely go check that out. Everything I do is completely free, guys. So yeah, there are just some resources for you to check out, basically. Regardless, if you do end up checking them out or not, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.